Now, we've been talking about a lot of the kind of mind-blowing, almost once-in-a-lifetime experiences. It was particularly of awe. It's also a more everyday kind of thing, right? I mean, we can go through life and just there can be a moment of, wow, really? Have you studied that kind of thing?
I've done what I call daily diary studies, where we have participants report each night on events that happened to them. And part of the reason we did this with awe is because we didn't know how frequent it was and whether people would say, yeah, I went the whole 2 weeks and I didn't feel any awe. And it turns out that about twice a week is what we were finding, that people were experiencing this emotion. And you're right, it wasn't, this transformative, once in a lifetime experience, a few times a lifetime experience. It was things that you would think are more common.
Like what?
So I always love the things that people wrote about. So we had a lot of students, so they were taking classes. So they would take an astronomy class and learn that the universe is expanding. We had a lot of people who talked about just walking home and seeing the colors of a sunset, and it stopped them in their tracks and really made them focus on that for just a moment. Everything else quieted. We were running it at a very particular time, and Master Chef, I think it's Master Chef was happening, and there was a blind chef, and a number of our participants reported that they felt awe towards this woman. So it's really amazing. And one of the other things I did, which I'm glad I went back, I looked at someone who had reported feeling awe very frequently. And you mentioned the awe-prone person. I'm like, what did this person experience? How can they have something like almost every day? And my favorite experience they wrote about was that, and this probably happens to many of us, they make their coffee and they pour the cream in and they stop and they watch as the cream swirls in the coffee and makes this really beautiful pattern, which I hadn't watched or looked at until this person wrote about this experience. And they felt awe just at the beauty of it. And I thought, man, like we could all be more like that person and have these daily little booster shots of awe from our coffee. So I do think that as scientists, we have to figure out what kind of awe we're talking about. And there are these really revelatory types of awe, but there are also these everyday experiences. I get them when I see the fall leaves change color on my walk home in Toronto, and there's maple trees everywhere and they're orange and green and it looks like they're on fire, right? So I think we all have these experiences, and in fact, I'd argue these are maybe more meaningful for us because they're more common. And we seek them out, right? We go to the symphony, we go to art shows and museums, we travel, we get out in nature. We find these experiences, even if we don't really know that's what we're going for. I think that's part of it.